Hi all. In this video, I explore what even is a lithium banana? What does it look like? Of course, first things first, you will be hearing my voice today. I really want my videos to be less about the painting themselves and more about the journey behind the paintings. I think that every painting has a story and there's a story behind every painting. As a baby channel, I have the opportunity to play around with my format a little bit and see what's the most effective way to tell that story. I like putting planets in my paintings. In some ways, the more fantastical, the better. It allows me as the painter and anybody who is looking at the painting to really step into another world. For this painting, I knew I just wanted a simple planet, so a couple of sprays of paint, some texture, cover it up, and we'll see how it turns out. I also knew I wanted some nebula. It's a great way to just add some visual interest to an otherwise black field. Although on this one, I knew I wanted just a little bit more than a simple nebula. But first, you got to lay down the color and fill it in. This is one of the areas where I can absolutely get lost in my own head. I can find myself going back and forth between the black and color so much, trying to get the blend just right. The addition of stars to one of my nighttime scenes is really one of the pivotal points where the painting comes alive. Of course, once all of the stars are added, it's time for the reveal of the planet that I've masked to see how it sits within the context of everything else. Whew. Okay, not bad. And you probably noticed a little change in the sheen of the painting right there. Part of that is because I need to let some elements of the paint dry in between. And matte paint, even though it goes down glossy, will turn matte when it's dry. So after I let it dry, come back, sheen's different. Now, when thinking about this painting, I also knew that I wanted to add a tree. It's one of the things that I enjoy looking at. I love paintings with single iconic trees. And specifically for spray paint, I love the idea of a mystical or cosmic tree, a primeval tree where nebula, stars, things like that come out of it. So I knew that I needed to add one to this painting as well. For the leaves, I'm just spraying on some spray paint, two different colors, kind of a highlight and a low light. I'm just using a little impromptu napkin brush to just create a little canopy. It looked good, but I knew it needed just a little bit more of a pop, so I added some white to my brush, put that on. It blended with purples to make a really light purple highlight that just brought out the tree leaves a little more. Time for the first stencil. Creating these was a project in and of itself. Kind of had to teach myself how to create these with the materials and tools that I had. Hand cut with X-Acto knives. I knew that I wouldn't have to be too precise because after all I am creating something organic, and a little bit of bleed in between parts of the stencil was going to be forgiven by the painting itself. But here's another example of me going over with multiple layers of paint, trying to get a texture, putting down the yellow, a little bit of black to get the flecks that can occur in banana peels, going over with yellow again to turn them from black to more of a mottled yellow, and then adding another final spray of black just to get those fine black spots. And then, of course, the moment I was really waiting for, lifting the stencil. Okay, it's hard to tell that it's a banana, but the lines are fairly crisp, and I'm pleased with it so far. So on to my mid-tone. So the story behind Lithium Bananas goes back a long time, but when thinking about this painting, I was thinking about the comparison or contrast between an organic banana and an inorganic element like lithium. I wanted to bring those together to occupy the same space somehow, while also managing to bring in all of the different elements of my paintings that I enjoy the most to kind of create a signature piece. For me, this was the real test, the second stencil, and seeing how well those images would line up. And they did. So move on to the third stencil, which is my shadows. Now, for all of my fellow science nerds out there, I know that lithium isn't radioactive. I know it doesn't glow. But when I saw this in my head, I knew these bananas needed to glow. And of course, they need to glow green-yellow. So another mask just to block off the bananas that have already been painted, and then I can add my glow around that. I focus most of the spray on the interior of the stencil so that really only the overspray gets on the painting itself, just giving a little faint mist. And this is where I say, please, please, please. Oh, it worked. Now moving on to the block of lithium. Same process. I'm starting with the edge because I know that's going to be somewhat distinct from the face of the block. And for the fun part of just filling half the painting in with black. The final element that I know I want in this painting is a reflection. I want a reflection of the lithium block kind of glowing. Purple's already a common theme in the tree and the planet, so I'll just add it to the foreground. I know I want some texture, so again, plastic sheet pulled off, provide some of that texture. I can go in afterwards and add a little bit more, make it a little bit misty, and work on the reflection itself. But before I focus on the reflection, I need the object that I am going to reflect. So it's time for the face of the lithium block. Again, starting with a dark color, just to get those undertones. Covering over with a brighter green, or for a mid-tone, and then actually transitioning to a fluorescent yellow for the highlights. Putting it just kind of randomly down, that way I get a more organic look to my inorganic block. Now you saw right there that by the time I got the face done, my foreground had dried. I can't smear to make a reflection on dried paint, so I need to re-wet it with some clear gloss that allows the paint to move, and I can go back and add my reflection here, smearing the reflection that I stenciled in to give it that wavy appearance. Of course, in doing this, I obliterate the side and the front of the reflection, so I need to go in one more time just to touch up and firm up that reflection so it looks like something more solid fading into mist. Then I realize that the face is now darker than the reflection, so I need to go in and lighten up that face so that the tones match a little bit more evenly. The final stencil is for the lettering on the block of lithium itself. Hardest part, cutting it out. Teeny tiny letters with an X-Acto knife is not the easiest, especially when you consider it only takes a couple sprays of black paint to actually get the completed stenciling on. Of course, I need that stenciling, those letters to be reflected, so I'll go ahead and take that same stencil and just aim my spray paint at the top of that stencil so that it really fades down into the reflection. The numbers, the atomic numbers on the lithium block were too small for me to create a stencil, so I have to rely on handwriting them, both the original and the reflection. After all that, I figure I need just one last little misting to firm up the reflection, and I call that part good. The final step of painting is just to add some finishing touches, some colored highlights just to make it pop a little bit, bring in some color variation. No point in using an actual brush when I have poster board that I can just tear off and use the flat side and the edge as a impromptu brush. You can see the difference in finish between the reflection where I'd already used the clear coat to re-wet for the reflection. Now I get to apply that to the entire painting. And as you can see, as that clear coat is applied, the contrast improves, the vibrancy of the colors improves, and this is just the final coming together of the painting that I really enjoy. A signature to finalize it, and I call it good. I really do appreciate you watching, and in this case, listening to me. There are hundreds of things you could be doing, and you chose to spend it with me. On a side note, leave a comment below. What kind of metal and fruit would you combine? As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next world.